dear Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
Warm welcome to meeting number 1348. The theme for today's meeting is Be the light that helps others see. A few years ago, Ruhi Ashraf, along with her husband, moved to a small town in Arunachal Pradesh. So her husband was an IAS officer and he was posted over there. So there were only 3 schools in that particular district. What happened was that one of the students came to her husband and he told her that there are no physics teachers in their class for the class 12 for last 5 years in the school. Now, hearing that, he got shocked and informed his wife, Ruhi, who was an electronics engineer. He asked her if she would like to take up the role. Ruhi readily agreed. So she started familiarizing herself with all the class 10 concepts like optics, electromagnetic, mechanics. And she gradually started downloading videos and she started to focus more on visual content to explain to her students because most of her students were not even aware of basic physics concepts. So gradually they started getting better at the concepts and towards the end of the year, the pass percentage of the entire class moved from 20% to a whopping 80%. Which is a spectacular achievement, especially in a small town like that. So, if someone, the overall thing is that if we have to be the light, if you want to guide the people who are in darkness. So, moving on, let me remind you all about the 3 not so perfect 3 rules that will help keep today's meeting more purposeful. Number 1, please do not walk around or move around when someone is speaking. You may do so when you hear an applause. Number 2, please do not say anything offensive in a political, religious or gender-related context. Number 3, for the duration of this meeting, can you please put your phones on silent? You can take 10 seconds for that. The next person to come on stage, she is the first person that I could think of as soon as I heard the theme. Because she always leads us by example. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Hannah Victoria.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai Deepak, for bringing the house in order. A very good evening, my dear fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests.
Good evening.
I call to meeting number 1 to order meeting number 1348. Many of our members today and very eager first time guests. May I request you to please raise your hand for first time guests. If I can please ask what brings you to Bangalore Toastmasters Club?
I keep hearing from Vivek.
Okay.
Yes, I want to.
Great. And your name is?
Santosh.
Welcome Santosh. Members, what do we do to welcome our guests? To know more about Toastmasters, you can meet our Vice President membership either during the break or after the meeting, and she will give you more details about Toastmasters, that is Vice President membership, Toastmaster Surekha. The minutes of the meeting 1347 were circulated by email and by WhatsApp. Any amendments to the minutes presented? So shall we consider it as passed, the minutes?
Yes.
So I will pass the minutes of the meeting 1347. Infosys. The foundation Infosys started in 1996. That time, Sudha Murthy knew much more about software, programming, management, and debugging rather than knowing anything about a non-profit organization. The prime reason why they started that foundation was to make a difference to the common man, to ensure that compassionate aid reaches the irrespective, regardless of caste, creed, language, and religion. When they were starting out, they had many issues on hand which they wanted to cover. There was like malnutrition, access to medication, rural development. But one of the things that stood foremost in her mind and heart was the issue of transgender, the thing of Devdasis. And off she went to northern Karnataka, north part of Karnataka. She thought that she will meet with the Devdasis there, and she will understand what their problem is, and then she will discuss and then sort it out in a couple of months. So when she went there the first time, so immediately, without much thought, straight to the point, she told them, "I've come here to help you. Please let me know what your problems are. I will try and sort them out." She had a pad and paper and she was ready to write. They were furious. They said, "No, we don't need your help. Go away." But she stayed on. She asked them again, "I will help you. I can." And this time, one of them threw a slipper at her. She was humiliated. She came back home and said, "I will never go back there again." But after a week, she found herself back in that same place. And again, she asked them. This time she said, "Are you aware of AIDS? Do you know how it can be prevented? The government is doing a lot of sponsorship. Are you aware? I will tell you about it." This time also, they said they weren't interested. And this time they threw tomatoes at her. And she came back home and she said, "Oh, I'm not fit for this job." She sat down to write her resignation letter. She said she thought maybe the Infosys can appoint another trustee. And then she found her father at her shoulder, asking what happened. And then she explained to him. And he said, "I'll come with you the next time." And then she said, "No, but they don't need us at all." He said, "I'll come with you. But my suggestion would be change into a traditional sari." She said, "No, I will not change. I will not do superficial change. I don't believe in that." But he said, "Just try it out." So the next time they went and she was in a sari with flowers, a Mangal Sutra, bindi. This is how we see her as of now. If you see her, this is how she's dressed. So they went to that community, and when the Dasis saw her father, they gave him a lot of respect and said namaste. And then he introduced her. He said, "This is my daughter. She is a teacher, and she's come here to help your children, to educate you on how you can get more sponsorship from the government for the education." And he said, "If you are not okay with it, no worries. She will go to another village." They thought for some time, took 10 minutes, and then they got back and said, "Yes, we will work with her." So that's how she started her journey. Her journey not directly with the Devdasis, but with their children. She allowed them to get sponsorship with the government, and then after 3 years did she first start her AIDS awareness campaign. And then she thought, just donating alone is not enough. It will not bolster their confidence or, make them any different. So she thought they can form an association for the Devdasis and discuss among themselves how they can uplift their community. But one problem was there. It was still the education of their children, which the Infosys Foundation said that they will sponsor all those children, but with the condition that they will step out of prostitution. And in due course, she helped many children go on to professional courses. The foundation helped professional courses. Many of them finished their middle school, high school, and went into college. And then, after 12 years, these activities continued. And then the association came to her and said, "We want to do something else. We want to start a bank." She said, "Okay, bank." And she said, "It will be run by the Devdasis and for the Devdasis." So again, the foundation helped them to set up the bank, and in 3 years, they had a fixed deposit sum of 80 lakhs. And 3,000 Devdasis were completely out of that trade, and they were independent. Many of them started small businesses. After the completion of 3 years, they invited her, the bank, all of them invited her for that ceremony. They had a celebration completing that 3 years. And then she was asked to speak. She says in her book, "For once I was at a loss of words." And she remembered her father telling her, "I would be very proud to have given birth to a girl who has helped more than 10 people to make a very most difficult transition from being a sex worker to being independent." And then she turned around and she spoke to them and she said, "You have given me much in this lifetime. I hope I've been able to serve you. The best I have done, I've given my best to your 3,000 children who have done many courses and who have done life. They are like flowers which I'm returning back to you." This, my friends, I thought was a very great example of today's theme, be the light which help others to see. Moving forward I'd like to introduce to you the Toastmaster of today. This Toastmaster is pretty young in the Toastmasters journey, but she's very enthusiastic. She works in the travel industry and a fitness enthusiast, she says. She's mentored by Toastmaster Surekha. Please join me to welcome Toastmaster Shelma.
Very good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You are the light of the world. Matthew chapter 5, verses 14. If you want to give light to others, you have to glow yourself. Be the light that helps others see. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people lit a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. Every day that we are given the gift of life, we are also given a purpose, not just for the day, but for eternity. You never know how much a simple act of love can impact someone. You never realize how much of light you actually are for others. Be a light, spreading happiness and radiance. Be a light through empathy. Learning to empathize with others and truly value their feelings is a big step to strengthening a relationship and having a deeper connection. Be a light by strengthening your self-love. you are and how you were made, you won't be able to extend your confidence and love others. Self-love is so important, not only for us, but for those who surround us as well. If we can 100% believe in ourselves, we can believe in anyone. Toastmasters Club was founded by Rajdeep on October 22nd, 1924. It is in over 145 countries. A Toastmaster Club is a non-profit organization designed to help individuals become better communicators through leadership training and public speaking practice. Joining Toastmasters Club is an invaluable opportunity to practice your public speaking skills regularly in a supportive environment. Toastmasters has over 350,000 members worldwide. Bangalore Toastmasters Club is one of the largest clubs in India. It was chartered in April 1997 and is the second oldest club in India. We have 3 levels in every meeting, which can be described as celestial body of a planet, which are sun, moon and stars. Level 1 is the prepared speech, which illuminates knowledge as bright as the sun. And the second level is table topic, which is like the full moon for the speaker who is the speech and like a new moon for the others. The third level is general evaluation, which are like bounty of stars, guiding us with the direction and to support our star, that is a general evaluator. We have 3 brightest stars that are our tag team. Request our timer Puneet to read out his role.
Members and guests, I am the final light, like we call in the Hindu tradition the Shiva for this meeting, the timekeeper, and this is my snake, which will tell me the time, and this is my damru, which I will ring if you exceed the time. Based on the guidelines, I will show 3 flags, the green, the yellow, and the red. Well, red means you have a buffer for the new members of 30 seconds, and the bell means the time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet. Now I call upon our second star, that is our founder, Mr. Guru, to read out the guidelines.
Good evening, Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, today my role is to count all the R's, all the clutch words, and also the start pauses and the long pauses. And end of the meeting, I'll be sharing my report to the general evaluator. Over to you, Toastmaster today. Thank you.
And next we have our Romanian Toastmaster Priyanka to read out the guidelines.
A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
As a grammarian, it's my responsibility to make note of good and not so good usages of words and sentences. It's also my responsibility to announce the word of the day, which is perfunctory, which means action carried out without real interest, feeling or effort. If I may give an example, it would be if he does his work perfunctorily, which means badly, he may do a great deal of harm. I will share my report at the end of the meeting, and I request you all please use the word of the day as much as possible when you go on the stage. Over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Without much delay, let me introduce the first speaker of today. And his speech would be informs one another. Request evaluator DTM Nagesh sir to read out the project guidelines.
Thank you. The first speaker today is attempting an icebreaker. The project objective is that he introduces himself to the club and learns a bit about the basics of public speaking. The timer, please note, it is 4 to 6 minutes speech, and all the best to the speaker.
Thank you, DTM Nagesh. Now let me introduce Aditya Prakash Srivastava, who is the one who believes that the biggest gift what we have is that which is going to tell you all in a short while, but mainly I want to introduce him now. He is a small town boy in a big city to achieve something magnanimous in life. He works as an entrepreneur in residence at that Data Hash, which is a business strategy position. He is going to present his first speech for today. And his mentors, yeah. So here I welcome Toastmaster Aditya.
I'm audible? Hi everyone. My name is Aditya Prakash Srivastava. I'm 25 years old. I come from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. My father's name is Dr. Rajdeep Prakash Srivastava. He's a government official. My mother's name is Mrs. Archana Srivastava. She's a school teacher. I have an elder sister. Her name is Aditi Srivastava. She's a teacher too. I have 2 dogs. Their names are Chico and Whiskey. I am an engineer by education. I like reading and cycling. And I want to become rich and happy in life. And that's my icebreaker.
Sounds weird, right? My text, my tone, my timing, my presence in general. So let's go ahead and correct a few things. A Toastmasters icebreaker is supposed to introduce a person, right? And usually how does one get to know anybody? Through their past. Well, you just saw that. I, for one, am a person who understands somebody by where is it that they are headed? Who is it that has inspired them? And what is it that they want to leave behind? And my icebreaker is going to be just that. My friends have distributed colored chits amongst you all, and those of you with the red chit, may I please request you to open it up and tell me who it is that you are? People with the red chit, could you please open it up and tell me who it is that you are? Yeah, orange chit, my bad. Leonardo da Vinci, a great Renaissance artist. Mr. Vinci, I've got to be honest. I'm not a fan of your art, but something more than that. Your curiosity. Learning about how you look at the world made me realize how narrow of a vision I had. You, for one, didn't have a formal education, but still a lot about human anatomy is learned from the journal entries of the dissections you had performed. Not many know this, but Mr. Vinci here was a better engineer than he was an artist. So much so that the first vision of human flight is found in his journal. So while the world might love you for your art, Mr. Vinci, I adore you for your curiosity.
Thank you.
Let's see who else is present amongst us this evening. Those of you with a yellow chip, may I please request you to unfold it and tell me who it is that you are? Yes, yellow chip. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky. a brilliant 19th century Russian author in a VTMC meeting. How often does that happen, Hannah? But Fyodor, I've got to be honest. Crime and Punishment is my favorite book. But, just like Mr. Vinci over here, I do not adore you for your art, but something more than that. Your commitment towards your work. For those of you who don't know, Dostoevsky here spent 10 years in prison and was sentenced to be executed, only to be saved last minute by a king's sermon. And what this incident did for him was make him eternally grateful for the time he has and made him dedicated wholeheartedly to his work. And Fyodor, honestly, I'm envious of that level of commitment. Last but not the least, let's see who else is present this evening. Those of you with a blue chip, may I please request you to open it up and tell me who it is that you are?
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey? Oh my god. I'm very sorry, Mr. Dorsey, to have bothered you this evening. I know with the sale of Twitter ongoing, you have a ton of things to manage on your plate. But Mr. Dorsey, for those of you who don't know, Jack Dorsey here is not only the co-founder of Twitter, but he was twice the CEO too. He became CEO for the first time in 2008, but he was wrongly ousted for having to pursue his creative interests. But he came back in 2015, not only as an executive working at Twitter, but as a person who had built Square, a payments gateway company which is 4 times the valuation of Twitter today, and was also back in 2015 when he joined back Twitter. A trajectory similar to Steve Jobs when he came back to Apple in 1996, where Pixar and Next were worth more than Apple as of then. And Jack, I've learned one thing from you, that is never giving up. It is the love and discipline that you have towards your work which encourages me to pursue my own interests with the same zeal. Now that I have all of you here, the Vincis, the Dostoevskys, and the Dorseys of the world, it is your curiosity, commitment, and zeal which has brought me here today to Toastmasters and encourages me every day as I aspire to become the greatest business strategist of all time. Lastly, my mantra, my driving force, which is also the title of this speech and is something tattooed on my hand, a beautiful couplet from 1st century from the poem Aeneid. It goes something like this: Flecter si necoe superos aceronta mugero, which means, if I cannot move the heavens above, I'll repeat myself, if I cannot move the heavens above, I will bend hell. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmasters.
Beauty of the life is made of light and shadow. Let me now introduce the evaluator of the second speech, that is Toastmaster Sudipto Ghosh, who works for IBM and loves watching sports. So today we have amongst us a cheerful, talented girl. So before I introduce her, I would request Toastmaster Sudipto Ghosh to read out the guidelines.
Thank you, Sharma. Hopefully I'm not the one in the shadow. But for this speech, the speaker has to write a learn basic writing skills to write a well-defined speech with a purpose, and then go on to deliver the speech on any topic. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sudipto. So, the cheerful young girl whom I was talking about. She's talented, who likes dancing and giving tiny push of motivation to our friends. She's presenting a second speech, level 1 of Pathway on Presentation Mastery, Half Face, Half Life. Put your hands together and welcome our second speaker, Rashi Palgota.
Beauty lies within the eyes of the beholder. It's a drizzly evening in Delhi, and her thick fingers, a hesitant, trembling bunch, rolling over a stack of medical prescriptions that she is trying to arrange in a fluorescent pink plastic bag. Suddenly, she feels cold. She asks her mother for a sweater, shivering. It's the middle of June. 10 years ago, before 3 men poured acid on her, she felt the seasons just like everyone else. With more than 60 to 70% of her skin burnt, she now feels the chills at 22 degrees and cannot bear the heat beyond 25. Sonali has faced as many as 22 surgeries, and what's pleasant for us is unbearable for her. With a difference of 6 to 7 degrees in temperature, what's normal for us is unbearable for her. Sonali Mukherjee hails from Dhanbad. She was 17 in 2003 when she faced an acid attack. 3 men broke into her house and threw concentrated acid over her face while she was fast asleep. Sonali faced 70% burns on her face, neck and arms, and the chemicals melted away the skin and flesh underneath her ears, nose and cheeks. To her utter despair, she could barely see and had become partially deaf. According to reports, these men had been making advances to Sonali, which she kept denying, and she even threatened to go to the police. To take revenge on her, these men attacked her with acid. During her college days, an honor student, Sonali was captain of the National Cadet Corps and an honor student. She wanted to pursue a degree in sociology. The confident women wished to be a teacher in India's poor and isolated tribal areas. Little did she know that life had different plans for her. It was not just Sonali who suffered, but her entire family suffered too. While her mother slipped into depression, her grandfather had a cardiac arrest that led to his death. Sonali has faced as many as 22 surgeries, and to pay off these bills, her father had to sell his soul, land, cattle, and everything that he worshipped. In an interview, Sonali was quoted saying that she is now living half a life with half a face. She is now living half a life with half a face. And she has gone through so much physical and mental pain and trauma. It is not just the consequences she has to face, but what about the post-consequences? What exactly happens when a girl or woman is encountered with such a heinous crime? It comes up on all the news channels, newspapers, radio, television, Twitter, and social media is flooded with all kinds of stories and big bold headlines. How long does this last? A week? Maybe 2? But what about the life of the girl? What about the consequences she had to face? It is not just the physical, but the mental, social, economical, and all the terms you name it. Let me start off with the physical damage. Acid eats through the 2 layers of the skin into the flesh and muscle underneath. It may also dissolve the bone. The pain is so agonizing that it cuts through the victim's flesh like a hot knife. Let me emphasize, this was just the physical aspect. Some of the psychological problems that the victims suffer is insomnia, nightmares, depression, and fear of facing the world. They feel despondent and outcast from the society. The victim's life gets derailed as every time she stands in front of the mirror, she is reminded of her present insecurity and the despondency of the future. relationship or the rejection of a marriage proposal. There has been an ever-rising increase in the number of cases, but the number of people charged for those has been declining. According to statistics, there has been an ever-rising increase with 250 to 300 being reported every year and a number that has gone unreported. I believe that education or educating young boys and girls, talking to them about gender equality, respectful relationships are the baby steps that could be taken towards the desired change. In the end, I would just like to conclude by saying that education is the vaccination to prevent such causes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashi. Rashi, your speech had such a pain and agony. Could feel this pain of acid victims. Yes, it is traumatizing situation for them, but how you had portrayed their pain over here, we all could feel it. Yes. Now moving on, we have induction ceremony. Together, everyone achieves more. So new members of Bangalore Toastmasters Club, we have a formal swearing-in ceremony. I am honored to call upon Chair of our club, a versatile, most loving, caring, and I'm thrilled because she is my mentor too. Let us welcome one and only Toastmaster Surekha ma'am.
Thank you so much. Gorgeous and glamorous Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests.
Good evening.
Whenever, would you all need, am I audible or would you like me to use the mic? Friends, whenever a new member wishes to join Toastmasters, we are required to conduct an induction ceremony. And today, on October the 28th, it's our duty and our privilege to induct 5 new members into Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Great things in Toastmasters can never be done alone. They are done by a group of people, a group like our Bangalore Toastmasters Club. And today we are here because we recognize a very simple yet profound truth. A truth which says that alone we are a small insignificant drop, but together we are the mighty significant ocean. And in our quest and in our thirst for learning and growth, we are united, we are the same, we are one. So together let's go and invent a new and better tomorrow. I will now call upon our new members to be, one after another, to come and join me on the podium. This new member to be is a fashion designer and an entrepreneur with the mission of empowering women to live richer, fuller, and happier lives. She is passionate about sketching, gardening, cooking, and most importantly, baking with her 11-year-old daughter, who likes to lick the batter that is left over. Though she has a job that fills her pocket, it is her insane craze for travel and exploring cultures that feeds her soul. Presenting to you, Dhanya Sugatan. Ladies and gentlemen, please moving on, the next member to be is a junior associate at Cash-Free Payments. And he has a particular talent for inquisitiveness, which I would say is an essential quality of a dynamic and dashing personality. Broadcasting that he is a 200% foodie His smile is at its brightest when food is at its bestest. Music, travel and movies feed his passion, and that is when he blooms with happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you Parth Naveen Nichani. Moving on, the next member to be is an 18-year-old teenager who has just completed her 12th standard and has currently taken a gap year. Believing that something magical can happen when you read a good book, she just loves to read fiction and spine-chilling thrillers. After all, don't we at Toastmasters believe that reading is that gateway skill that opens us to the pathways and the highways of learning and growth? Passionate about drawing, fashion and sewing, she one day aims to be a fashion designer. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Naomi Liz Thomas Kuruvilla. The next member to be works as a contractor and as a project manager for building developers. And it is his die-hard commitment to his own growth that has helped him transform his journey, Toastmasters journey, into a stunning reality. Making time to follow his passion, he never allows his love for travel to take a backseat. Being an ardent fan of food, he believes that good food is the foundation of genuine happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you Suhas P. Moving on, this member to be is a motorcycling enthusiast. And you know what? He has the wellness formula which says, if you want to have a happy psyche, then keep riding your motorbike. He has worked in the travel and tourism industry, which is at the very heart of our economy. And he has also worked in events and is now occupied with sales. His hobbies are music and traveling, and whenever life pulls him down, it is these hobbies that lift him up. He believes that every day is a new experience and that people are basically good-natured. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you Sagar Chatterjee. Please help me welcome Dhanya, Parth, Naomi, Suhas and Sagar. You are joining an international worldwide organization that is committed towards helping its members improve upon their communication and leadership skills. You are also joining the distinguished, the celebrated Bangalore Toastmasters Club, which is not only one of the oldest but the second largest club in the country. And I, as VP membership, on behalf of Bangalore Toastmasters Club, along with my colleagues, express our joy and our pride in welcoming you into our club. Welcome, Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Vice President Education, Mr. Vaidyanathan, do you concur with me that their mentors have been assigned to them?
Yes.
Do you also concur with me that Toastmaster Robinson Sir, Toastmaster Alok Simha, DTM Teresa, Toastmaster Ankit, and Toastmaster Shashank are their mentors?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can occupy your seat. Will the mentors kindly stand up if they are present? I see that Toastmaster Abhiram is representing Toastmaster Robinson Sir. I have confirmed with him about this. I have seen that 3 of them are missing. Nevertheless, I have confirmed with them. However, as a formality, I will ask you all this question. Will you take up the responsibility of mentorship and pledge to share your knowledge and your wisdom and your experience with the new members?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can please occupy your seats. membership in this club and in Toastmasters International is a privilege and a responsibility too. We are here today because we understand that great improvements invariably involve the cooperation of many minds. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. We are here to travel on the trust and the support that we lend one another. This means that you must be active members of the club, attend meetings regularly, prepare for your duties fully, and strive towards keeping our club vigorous and victorious, vital and vibrant. Now I request you to put your right hand forward and to repeat this pledge after me. I,
Danya Sugadan, Naomi Kurivada,
in the presence of my fellow members of the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, make this firm obligation to attend meetings regularly and prepare fully for each assignment, to apply myself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters education program, to participate actively in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with my fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club, so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters. You can now release your hand and keep it up. Thank you very much. I will now ask only the members of Bangalore Toastmasters Club to stand up. Please put your right hand forward as you all take this oath. We, the members of Bangalore Toastmasters Club, pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities to help others, and to make your Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Thank you very much for your cooperation. You may now occupy your seats. It is now my pleasure to declare you all as the newly inducted members of Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Every Friday evening when you enter Royal Hall, you are now the special members of a club that stands tall. I now request our Madam President Hannah to present the membership certificates to the newly inducted members, and I request Vice President Education Mr. Vaidyanathan to help her with the task. where we love to be. Friends together, you and we. Now let's give them a big warm welcome and as they leave the stage to occupy their seats. Thank you for your attention and may God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Toastmasters Surekha ma'am. We always see your passion in everything you do. You put in 100% effort in what you do. Induction ceremony is done with full grace and affection. Thank you once again, ma'am. Voting links have been shared. Please vote for the best speaker and the password is Vision. 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 So we'll be taking a break of 5 minutes. So we'll continue after the break.
Here we go. Hi. Hey, hi. Yeah, I don't know where to go. Okay. So I actually came as a yeah. So what are the people who are trained? So they are in oh, I'm sure people as well respect. Oh, integrated in the membership. Let's go to the other side. return to your seats. Members and guests, please return to your seats. Members and guests, please occupy your seats. Let's restart the meeting.
Welcome back. All right, so let's move to the next phase. We have an education session now. Adversity is said to be the most effective teacher. After all, it is the extreme pressure that transforms the common carbon into sparkling diamonds. His world might be dark, but Rajdeep has been a light of fire for thousands. Dear fellow Toastmasters, guests, put your hands together to welcome our DTM Dr. Rajdeep Manwani.
Thank you so much, Shelma, for that wonderful introduction. And I really liked it. When you started introducing about table topics in the beginning, if any of you all remember what she said, prepared speeches are like the sun and table topics are like the moon. And she said that it's like the new moon for people who are new for it. That means it's dark. And then again she connected with darkness. So she's doing a splendid job. Wonderful, right? So you have put me in the dark, correct? And the theme of the meeting is having light or something. You want me to use the mic? What's the problem?
No.
It's not.
So you're loud enough, Raj.
I'm loud enough, right?
Yes.
Then just close. Okay. The question arises, why is impromptu speaking important? Or what is the importance of table? Is it really important in today's life? Let me give you an illustration to illustrate that how table topics can be a game changer in certain situations. The first example I would like to give you, I was invited as a judge. I used to be invited as a judge many times for these best manager competitions where they have this stress interview at the last, where you ask questions in these colleges which are management colleges and commerce colleges. You ask questions at the end and try and irritate the participant and see whether that person emerges good or not. So there was a competition in which I was a judge, and there was a girl who had come from NMIMS Mumbai, and so as a panelist I asked her, do you think that behind every successful man there is a woman? And naturally she smiled and she said, yes sir. And I immediately told her, that's why there are such few successful men. But she was so quick-witted that immediately after I told her that, she smiled and she said, because there are few girls like me, sir. Yeah. And needless to say, she won the competition. So when you think on your feet, when you actually connect things, you're able to touch the audience much better. Let me give you another example of why impromptu speaking is important. When I got married and my wife likes shopping, and we had gone to Brigade Road, and she likes buying not from the shops but from the people on the road. You know, these hawkers, they sell knickknacks and anything. So I was there, and she kept me, and she was looking at some bangles and some earrings, etc. And I couldn't see, so I was just at the side, and there was a man who was selling cone ice cream. So he came up to me and he said, sir, would you like to have a cone? I said, how much? He said, 20 rupees. So I said, okay. I pulled out a 20 rupee note and I gave him the cone ice cream and I took it from him. As I was about to lick the ice cream, my wife came and she said, you bought only one cone ice cream? You bought only one cone ice cream? And I was in a fix. But thank God, I had done a lot of table topics before, and I had attended Bangalore Toastmasters Club. I immediately gave her the cone ice cream and said, darling, whenever I am with you, I forget about myself. And you can't imagine 6 months went so smoothly. After that, she came to know that I was in Bangalore Toastmasters, and now those things don't work. Correct? But very, very important to have the presence of mind and that impromptu speaking ability where you can think on your feet and answer questions or speak on a topic very, very immediately. Now, there are two questions which trouble everybody in life. The first question is for a businessman, always the question which troubles him, where does the money come from? And for a person who's doing table topics, the question which troubles you is, where do I get the material for what I'm going to speak? Or what is the source of what I will speak when somebody asks me a topic? So the first part of my entire presentation is, there are two basic sources which you have to identify for your table topics. And then I will give you two strategies on how to handle the table topics. So let's look at the two sources for table topics. The first is, I call the two sources are the open book and the open mind. So the first is an open book. There is a very famous saying which goes, a good reader in private is a great speaker in public. And it's very, very true. Let me tell you an incident. When I was being brought up, I was brought up in a very small town in up to my 4th standard in Maharashtra. It's called Devlali. It's a cantonment area where these army people live. It's just next to a town in Maharashtra called Nasik. And over there I had my grandfather with me, and we had a house on the adjacent grounds where the Jawans used to do their drills. You know, they used to do their drills, running, parades, etc. And the drills used to be quite heavy, and most of them used to feel thirsty, and they used to knock at our house and they used to ask for a glass of water. So my grandfather used to open them and give a glass of water. But after some time he decided, let's do something for these Jawans, for these military personnel. So he kept a flask of water outside the house. So the Jawans used to come, they used to drink the flask and from the water. And then again, many of them used to go thirsty and they used to knock the door again, and we had to open it for them. So he took me one day to the market and he bought an earthen pot or a matka. So we bought that matka and we kept it outside. We filled it with the water, and then they used to drink from them. But even after he had kept that earthen pot and matka, many of the Jawans used to again come and knock on the door, because the earthen pot or the matka, the water used to get over. So finally he took me once to the market and he told me, let's go and buy a huge canister of water. So we went and we bought a huge 100-liter canister and we kept it out. And most of the Jawans used to drink the water every day, and we used to fill it up next day. But the knocking stopped. The reason why I told you this incident was, if you have only a flask of water, you can offer only 2 or 3 Jawans. If you have an earthen pot, you can offer 10 or 20 people. But if you have a canister, you can actually quench the thirst of 50 to 100 Jawans. The same thing is with your knowledge. If you are given a table topic and if you don't know anything, if you haven't read enough, you can only offer that much. If you have an earthen pot of knowledge, you can offer that much. If you have a canister of knowledge, you can speak on any topic. And most of the time, we ignore this aspect of reading just a little bit every day, just to broaden your horizon, because sometimes the topics will come, and if you have only that much of knowledge, what will you offer? And most of the topics which I've won at the district level have not been won only by speaking about my own personal incidents, but they've been won by actually reading about so many things. I remember a table topic which was given to me several years back, child is the father of man. It's a famous quote by William Wordsworth, and that was given at a division level contest when I went on to win the district. And at that time I had read a small incident about how children have become so smart in today's world. There was this small girl, 8-year-old girl, who was writing an essay, and she came running to her mother and she asked her, "Mummy, how was I born?" And this mother got a little scared and she said, "Oh, how will I ask her? She's just 8 years old." So she said, I was sitting outside the door, and there was this big eagle who came and dropped you off on my lap. So this girl went off. After some time she came back and she said, "Mummy, how were you born?" So she said, "Your grandmother was sitting outside the house and there was a big eagle who came and dropped her off on my lap." After a few minutes again this girl came and said, "How was grandma born?" He said, "Why are you asking this again and again?" Same. Her mother was sitting outside the portico and there was this big eagle who came and dropped her off into her lap. Then she was wondering, why is this girl asking these questions? So she went inside and she saw this girl was writing an essay on my family. And it was written in that, there has been no normal birth in my family for the last 3 generations. Now I narrated this as child as the father of man, and it helped me to win the competition. But this was not a personal incident, but it was something which was read somewhere else. I remember another table topic which was given to me, which was the haste causes waste. And I narrated an incident where I read about a vacuum cleaner salesman who was in a big hurry. So he came knocking on the door, and there was this old lady who opened the door, and this vacuum cleaner salesman, he threw a bucket of cow dung on the ground and he said, "Madam, if my vacuum cleaner doesn't clean this cow dung in the next 2 minutes, I will eat it." This lady said, "Start eating it now itself." He said, "Why? There's no electricity in the house." Correct? So this was again something which I read. So the more you read, the more you collect knowledge, the greater is the chance that you'll be able to connect with your topic and be able to present your points in a better manner. So just make it a point of learning something every day. Might be read a small story, might be read an incident, might be read 3 lines here, 4 lines there. So then at least learn a new word. Perfunctory or something like that. Correct or no? So you have to do a little bit of open book. So if you read or if you add something to your knowledge base every day, that's the first source. The second is the open mind. The second source from where you get your material for a table topic is your open mind. Why open mind? Your life is a series of incidents. And sometimes we ignore these incidents in our life. You say, "No sir, there's nothing happening in my life." Actually, there's a lot happening in your life, but we are not aware of it. We live our life as strangers to our own life. Isn't it? We just don't know what we did the whole day. But if you develop a keen sense of observation of what is happening around you, you will find that you will develop a lot of incidents which you can use in your table topics at some point of time or the other. And they are original. They cannot be shared by anybody else because that is what you have experienced and nobody else has experienced. And so many of my table topic competitions which I have won because I have actually used incidents from my own life. When I won the district level competition in Sri Lanka, this was in 2016 or 17, I don't remember the year, the topic which was given to me was "Begin with the End in Mind." And it was about goal setting, dreams, etc. "Begin with the End of Mind" is a quote given by Stephen Covey in this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And they've given that as the topic in Sri Lanka. So what I did is I narrated, everybody was talking about setting a goal and everything. I thought I'd make it a little different. So I narrated an incident from my life where I spoke about a Toastmaster who had joined in 2008-9. His name was Ganesh Santar. Ganesh Santar was a member of our club and he used to be very friendly with me, used to sit with me. And in 2007 itself, there was a book which was released called The Secret, which talked about this law of attraction. Rhonda Byrne and all that, right? So Ganesh Santar told me, Rajdeep, on one Friday evening, he told me, "Rajdeep, there's a free seminar on the law of attraction tomorrow in the agricultural college, agricultural science college. Why don't you come over there?" So I said, "Okay, we'll go." So we went over there, and that person who was giving the speech was an amazing, very, very powerful speaker. So he came on stage and he screamed, "Do you know whatever you dream about and think about, you become exactly that?" So we were all stunned. And then again he came and he screamed, "Whatever you dream about and you think about, you become exactly that." And next to me, this Ganesh Santar got a little nervous. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Rajdeep, does he mean to say I'll become a woman?" And I used that as an incident to start off what? Begin with the end in mind. And I said, it's not necessary that whatever you think and dream about you begin, because you also have to put action into your dreams to make it reality. So that was the twist which I gave and I won. So sometimes you have to have your own incidents. For example, there was a topic which was given, I don't remember, it was the district competition, I think it's in Hyderabad or something, where the finals, the district final topic was "The real thing is the real thing." So what is this real thing is the real thing, right? And that was a very strange topic, but I narrated an incident which happened when I was, as a lecturer, I had taken my students to Bangalore and I met my old principal I studied in St. Joseph's College, so I had my principal, Father Walter Andrade, over there, and I went to meet him over there and just I spoke to him. And Father Walter Andrade asked me a question. Rajdeep, which subjects are you teaching? So I said, sir, I'm teaching mathematics, I'm teaching organizational behavior, and I'm teaching marketing management. And after a pause, Father Walter Andrade looked at me and he said, Rajdeep, stop teaching marketing, stop teaching organizational behavior and financial management, and start teaching students. And I said, that is the real thing. The real thing is not going on the subjects, but actually concentrating on the people whom you're actually teaching. So like that, you have so many incidents which happen in your life, which you can actually use for your table topics. And how do you develop this ability to find out incidents in your life? Make a journal every day. All of you all, if you all haven't heard the speech of Vivek Vijayan, he spoke when did you speak this, Vivek? 2 months back or 3 months back? On writing a journal?
A year back.
A year back, okay. So he will send it on WhatsApp to all of you, correct? It was a brilliant speech, and I was doing this before, but Vivek gave a totally new perspective on how to write a journal every day. If you sit every day at the end of the day and write a journal of what happened in your life, it becomes a brilliant self-improvement tool as well as a great tool to gather experiences in your life. So maybe you can write down, okay, today I was teaching in class and I got angry with the student unnecessarily. So in my mind I'm thinking I need improvement for this. Or today there was somebody who asked me for some help and I went out of the way to help that person do something. Then I'll say, good, wonderful job done. Like that, if you write a journal, some people don't find it comfortable writing it in the night, but Vivek suggests you write it in the next day morning. And it becomes a great thing. Just take a rough book and write. Now, 2 things happen with this when you write a journal. One, you become very, very aware of the incidents which are happening in your life. Second, what happens is, you actually improve, because when you are actually writing something and you're going through it, the next time if something is happening, you will not repeat those mistakes. So suppose you're angry with somebody today. The next day when you're actually suppose I'm getting angry with a student and I say, yesterday itself you need to improve. So then I'll confuse it with a joke or something like that. So it is a brilliant self-help tool. And also what happens when you do this journaling for a long period of time, let's say a year or 2, your craving for approval goes down. Because you are your own critic, you are your own appreciator. So you don't get too worried about people approving you and appreciating you. And you don't get too irritated when somebody criticizes you. So your dependence on other people's approval goes down. So it has a brilliant sort of counter effects also. But it's a brilliant tool. So ask Vivek, he will give you some more tips on journaling. But it's a great work. So if you can do this, open book and an open mind, these are the 2 sources which you have for your impromptu speaking. Now, what are the 2 strategies? Now, I've already read, sir, I read so many stories, sir, I have so many incidents written, but when I come on stage, I forget everything. So let me talk a little bit about science. Your brain has 2 parts, the left side and the right side. The left side is basically your logical side, which is more of the logical side, and the right side is the emotional side. So the right side stores all your emotions, your stories, etc. And the left side is the practical side. Now, unless there are neural pathways between the left side and the right side, you come on stage. You know that the topic is given, but your stories have to, from the right side, there has to be a neural pathway which connects the left side, so you can logically express that in a proper manner. Now, if there is no connection between the right side and the left side of your brain, whatever stories you have read, whatever incidents you have written, you will come over here and freeze. You will not be able to, and then when you go off stage, you say, oh, I should have said this. After that, I should have said that. Oh my God, I should have done that. So what happens is, there has to be a connection between the right side of your brain and the left side of your brain. You have to develop the neural pathways between the right side and the left side, so that when a topic is given to you, you are immediately able to answer it and come out with a solution, or come out with a story, or come out with something to speak about that particular topic. Now, how do you develop these neural pathways? The first way of developing the neural pathways is something which all of you all will hate me for, but I will tell you. It is sit in silence for 15 to 20 minutes every day. The University of Leeds, University of California, all great universities who have done research on sitting in silence, meditation, silence, all have shown that just by sitting quietly, stopping for 15 to 20 minutes every day, you can develop huge neural connections between the left side and the right side of it. John Kabat-Zinn, wherever you are, be there. Most of you might have read these books. And these are not, and everybody who has actually done something worthwhile in life are able to sit in silence. Some of you should read a book called Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. Get that book. He's written some beautiful books. Obstacle is the Way, recently Courage. So, if you see some of the greatest people, Isaac Newton, he came out with calculus when he sat in silence. A.R. Rahman tells, when I sit in silence for half an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes a tune starts buzzing in my head. Albert Einstein used to say that some of my best ideas, theory of relativity, came out when he said there are two types of time. He wrote a paper during the end of his life. It was called deep time versus surface time. Surface time is what I do on the surface, but deep time is when I sit in silence, and that's where the ideas. So all these people have developed a silent way of developing the neural. See, we don't estimate silence so much because we can't see the visible results, right? You can see Arnold Schwarzenegger with this body building and Hrithik Roshan with this six-pack. But people like Matthew Ricard, people like Dalai Lama, who actually sit in silence, if you were to actually see their brain, there will be so many muscles over there which are connecting the left side and the right side. So Dalai Lama always says that you generally people say, no, you shouldn't sit in silence, we don't have time. So he always says that if you have time, you sit in silence for 30 minutes every day. And if you don't have time, you sit for 1 hour because you need it much more, right? So just try this out, correct? Just try this out. Just sit for 10-15 minutes. Just stop. Don't do anything. Just don't do anything. Sit quietly. And then see, you'll see after 6 months or it won't happen immediately, it doesn't happen immediately, but you'll see after 6 months, 1 year, you'll find that you are much more intuitive and you are much more able to be present in the moment, and you'll be able to tackle things much quicker in a state of difficulty or any sort of tabletop. The second strategy is called, I'll use a Sanskrit term which is called sadhana. Sadhana basically is a deliberate, diligent effort. So whenever you put any deliberate, diligent effort to improve something, you actually improve in that. So if you want to improve the pathways from the right to the left side, practice table topics again and when a table topic master comes on stage, it's not necessary that he has to call you. You will you can practice those 20 or 15 table topics in your own head again and again. So the more you go and practice, so if you get a chance, play table topics among your friends. When the tabletop master is speaking, he is calling somebody else, but in your mind you start thinking, what would I do if I were given this particular topic? There was a very famous method actor from the early days called Michael Caine. I don't know if you have heard of him. Michael Caine used to always, they used to ask him, how come you're such a great method actor? You act so naturally. And he used to always say this, what did he used to say? He used to always say this, that he used to say that performance is relaxation, but preparation is hard work. Preparation is hard work, performance is relaxation. So the more you prepare by going on stage again and again, no sir, I get very scared to go on stage, I don't know what I'll do, I'll mess it up. It's okay. There are two things which you can do. You can either suffer the problem or you can suffer the solution. Correct? You suffer the problem, you'll keep regretting that I never came on stage. But you suffer the solution, you'll come, people will laugh, it's okay. You'll do that 2 or 3 times, but you'll learn. And the more you learn, the more you become. So practice as much of table topics as you can, because the more you practice, the better you become in what you're actually doing. There was this book called The Power of Full Engagement. It was written by Tony Schwartz and John Lower, where they talked about these chess masters and grandmasters. Chess masters are people who are professional chess players who can defeat 10 people simultaneously, playing one by one. They go from one table to the other. But chess grandmasters can defeat 10 chess masters simultaneously. So they'll have 10 chess masters, they'll go from one table and they'll play the chess more, they can defeat them. Now the question was, what is the IQ level of a chess master? A general IQ is 90 to 110. They found that chess masters have an IQ of around 120, 125, which is quite good. But when they found the IQ of chess grandmasters, they found it was 140, 150, no, 125 itself. So these people said, why is it that these people can defeat 10 chess masters when their IQ level is the? And when they found and they went through the lifestyle of the chess masters and grandmasters, they found that chess masters practice for around 3 to 4 hours every day, but chess grandmasters practice around 8 to, even if they're sitting in lunch, they're thinking of the next move. For them, their life is just chess, 8 to 10 hours. So no wonder they've risen to such heights. So the more you practice, we had I keep telling this, but I'll repeat it again and again. We had a Toastmaster in our club called Aaron Watson, who represented our club in 2 district finals in Sri Lanka at the prepared speech contest. And I used to share the room. I used to go for district table topics and he used to go for the prepared speech. And I was sharing the room with him in Sri Lanka, and at 2:30 in the night he woke me up once. And he said, Rajdeep, everybody of the other participants have finished practicing. Let's go down to the hall and practice. I told, you're crazy. Watson, you're stupid. Don't do this. 2:30. I have to sleep. He said, no, Rajdeep, let's go and practice. I told, that's okay. You can do that in your house with your wife. Don't do it with me. Come on. Correct? He said, no, Rajdeep, let's go and practice. He had a very nice voice, okay? So I said, okay. But why, Watson, now 2:30? And he told me something which stuck to my mind. He said, Rajdeep, I can be outspoken tomorrow, but I don't want to be out-practiced. I can be outspoken tomorrow, but I don't want to be out-practiced. And I think so that is the actual way in which you actually develop your neural connections. So just remember these 2 things. He rang the bell. I told him to ring it at 25 minutes. Thank God he's not showing me snake. Correct? It'll scare me otherwise. Correct or not? But he told me that he'll ring it at 25 minutes, and I told I'll keep 3-4 minutes for question answers. Okay. But just remember this, for impromptu speaking, the 2 sources are your open book and your open mind. And your 2 strategies are silence and sadhana. So if you can keep this in mind, you'll find that as you go along, table topics will become a flow for you in life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Question answer.
If it's the time, something.
We have 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes.
How many minutes do we have?
4 minutes we have.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. I have a question. Dania here. So we did speak about left and right brain and about how logical and emotions should not mix. One thing I find is a lot of times it's the mind, it's the talking within the mind which also stops you from talking. So I just find like, how do you differentiate between both? One is, a voice in your head.
And the second?
And second is like we're trying to let the logical brain take over. How do you put the emotions across? So is it like you're making it too logical?
What I was trying to tell you is your logical brain is the brain which expresses what you have to say. Your stories are stored on the right hand side and your logical brain is the left side. So unless your stories flow to your logical brain, you won't be able to speak about it, right? Even though it's in your head, you won't be able to speak about it. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is that, okay, but what you're asking me is basically if you have self-chat, okay, that is one thing. See, when you're on stage, never ever judge yourself. I've done that mistake several times. As you start speaking, you suddenly find that after 2 lines, oh my God, I'm messing it up. Oh my God. If you're judging yourself while you are actually delivering the speech, it's a guaranteed recipe for disaster. You will actually start messing up and you'll get into panic, because all of us panic, right? Because see, I'm speaking on stage, there are so many people looking at me, 50, 60 people, and you're being judged, and everybody gets scared of being judged. So the best part is speak whatever you have to speak, and don't let that self-critic in you come out and tell you that you're not doing well, and just tell you to shut up. Correct or no? The more you go and practice, you will find that your criticism of yourself, as I told you, when you write a journal, your criticism of yourself comes because you're improving every day. Okay, now how do you distinguish between what chatter in your head and what are the other things you asked me? There were too many questions which confused me.
Like you're using your logic to put your thoughts across, and your questions are also in a way trying to tell you that it's logic. I mean, it's like you're thinking a lot when you're trying to use your logic to guide you.
So that's why when you actually sit in silence for some time, what happens is you become more spontaneous. After a point of time, what happens is if you're always trying to think about what you're going to say, it doesn't move as effective. You can make out a person who's actually thinking and talking. So suppose you ask me a question and I keep thinking, okay, is it that, is it this, is it that? It doesn't come out well. But if you're more spontaneous, let your spontaneity take over. So I feel, don't overthink anything. The best speeches are the speeches from the heart. Remember them. So as far as yourself, prepare. See, I've prepared for this. But I prepare and I read it up twice or thrice or whatever I have to speak. I have my examples. But after I come on stage, I let my spontaneity take over. So I wouldn't have spoken about the full moon. I wouldn't have spoken about this. I wouldn't have spoken about the snake. Correct or no? So all those things come out spontaneously. So let your preparation be there. But when you come on stage, you should be as spontaneous as possible. Otherwise, people will make out that it is rehearsed. And if it's rehearsed, it doesn't give the impact as if it is more. If it is whatever it means, I don't know if I've confused you, but I have. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. And if she was a new member, so that's why we asked her. Okay. He rang his drum room, so he rang it. So now, Sharma, you can please take me off from the stage. Thank you so much.
We can go on and on if time permits. Listening to your speech, it's filled with words of wisdom. Let us not take today's speech perfunctorily, but take all tips meticulously, and let us be better table topic speakers in coming days. Thank you so much, DTM, Dr. Rajdeep sir, once again. Welcome to the third phase of today's session, which is general evaluation. During my early days of Toastmasters meeting, my eyes used to wonder if I could see any familiar face. Then suddenly, I came across my student whom I had trained to use Galileo. And I was glad I found someone from my travel trade whom I know. This person loves traveling, and luck his profession is the hospitality and travel industry, which he has helped him travel to over 35 countries. Worked in Gulf Air, Sri Lankan Airlines, Thai and Kingfisher Airlines, and then went on to be founder of M-Star Tours and more. At present, he is financial advisor for Bajaj Alliance. He is with Toastmasters over a decade. He is a former president of Bangalore Toastmasters Area and Division A Director, plays guitar and does yoga. A fun-loving and witty person. He is none other than Toastmaster Malcolm Smith. Let us welcome.
I think I need the mic. There's one problem I have speaking after Rajdeep. Is that he speaks so well that anything I say after that sounds very flat. Well, welcome to the general evaluation session. And what we do at the general evaluation session is to give feedback of what has happened in the meeting, good practices that have happened, and where the general evaluator thinks you could have improved or made some changes. So that's my job, having been over a decade in the Toastmasters. Probably I would have seen a lot more meetings and know a little more about what is the etiquette at Toastmasters. So we'll start with the very beginning of the meeting. In fact, even before the meeting will start. Our club has this wonderful practice of having a WhatsApp group which includes all the role takers, where they put their names in, but unfortunately at the end of just before the meeting, many of the role takers are not there. So that's a very dangerous thing. What I can suggest to the VP education is, keep some backup names, because you will find people when you say, will you be the Toastmaster of the day, you'll say, no, please, I'll have to be running around for role takers on the day of the meeting, which happened today. So, though you have a very good practice of having that WhatsApp group, unless you have some backups, it will not help. But now coming to the day of the function, the meeting
1348.
Okay, you're listening. 1348. So we started with the Sergeant at Arms. Okay. I believe that I have to be a bit, harsh sometimes to get the message out. I believe unless you give people, feedback that will help them, there's no point. So today I felt that the Sergeant at Arms was doing a job which was very perfunctory, came and just rattled off a story which I was not so interested. I don't know why he was talking about it. Rather, I would have liked to see him introducing himself and welcoming everybody, looking at people, practicing his skill of getting everyone's attention, making sure that they are comfortable, and 3 rules. Who likes to listen to rules? I, for one, always break rules. So you say rule, immediately people are thinking, how do you want to break this rule? So you say, listen, for the smooth functioning of the club, keep your phones on silent, avoid talking about subjects that are controversial, etc. That would be a much better way. And connect with the audience. Now I've seen Sai Deepak do it over a period of time, and I did have a chat with him separately, and I told him, you'll have to forgive me if I'm a bit harsh with you when I say this, because I've been a Sergeant at Arms, and I know you prepare and you're saying, listen, today I must give my message, I shouldn't falter, and do a good job and make a big impression. But then I think we learn over a period of time. But starting a meeting on time, we are taking it for granted. That's what our Sergeant at Arms has done today. Let's put our hands and give a big hand for that. Also, Sai Deepak, the President, has a thankless job. So at least have a great introduction of the President. If you spend so much of time giving your story about the theme of the day, which I believe is irrelevant, what do we want to know about the theme of the day? If you give a nice introduction about the President will come here and also be very happy, and everyone will know about our President, and that's the privilege of the President, I believe. So then we have the President come up. Now, the President has been around for quite some time, very experienced, people love us at club. But then, sometimes I like to always, she always tells me, Madam, I know you're going to tell me something today that is not very happy, I'm not going to be very happy about. And I thought, again, she also very perfunctory in her thing. Welcome, nice to see a lot of people over here, and I didn't think it was very genuine. And then the story. Now, what do we want to know about Infosys and Sudhamurthy? Personally, I'm saying. Then we can read about it, we get so many forwards, so many inspirational WhatsApp today in the world of WhatsApp, we get so much that we're actually fed up. The moment we start telling me, okay, enough here, how much you want to hear, we have to now, up whatever. Okay? So, I believe you should talk to the people. People are listening to the president, have a message, what is happening in our club, what are we doing, what's happening in the district with our club, what's happening with our members, what are they achieving, why do you need to come to the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, what is Toastmasters Club all about? That is what we need to be. We need to be reminded. Many of you have come, thank you for coming because many of you have been missing. Guru have been missing for a long time. We need people to take up roles. It's becoming very difficult. Things like that. I think that will inspire the audience and also inspire a lot of more new members. So, but I thought you also had a pleasant way of speaking. That is very good. And we're taking that for granted because, as I said, we all love you here. So let's put our hands together for our president. I'm just thinking back when I was the president and people gave me this kind of feedback. I would want to come and mark that person straight out later on. So don't do that to me yet. Okay, then I would like to go to the role of the speakers. So I'm going to call the first evaluator. The first evaluator was, who was the first evaluator? Nagesh, to speak on the first speaker.
Good evening once again. Special evening to you, Toastmaster Aditya. Your engine was little crying for that 1 minute when you started and when it was going uphill as well. But as you shifted gears, you removed your jacket and you were in your comfort zone. That's what we all observed it. What I loved next was, you talked about 3D. Those 3Ds were, we all heard, Da Vinci, Dostoevsky, correct? Whiskey, yeah. And Dorsey. Through them, I heard three things very, very, very clearly here. The first one being, be specific, that is more memorable. You talked about dedication, commitment, and never give up attitude, especially in Toastmasters, among which you are there today starting your icebreaker. That's wonderfully done. Kudos to you, Aditya, on that. Then, secondly, give a hint about your characters. About your 3Ds, you gave us not just about the, I won't call it as a hint, I would call them as analogies that you used very beautifully on the stage in your icebreaker speech. Thank you for bringing those three characters live for us. Thirdly, what I love about is that 1 minute, the first 1 minute. You gave all about yourself, your family, what you want to do, what's your passion, and you said you want to become rich. I love that very well because after that came the powers of your public speaking skill. I have three recommendations in fact. They are also 3Ds. First one is the device. Like Chekhov's gun. If I show you a gun, it has to go off somewhere in your story. So what was your jacket doing here? I did not understand. I know it gave you a lot of impetus to go to your next zone. But however, I wanted you to use it as a prop. Maybe to fight something, light something, or enlighten us. Secondly, the transition. You had three characters. Suddenly I saw you jumping from one color to another. Maybe you could have had a thread. Maybe a maker, or an author, or a founder, something like that, and you could have carried on. Thirdly is the description after the development. I would say it's better to give a little bit of description, not completely though. Keep it simple. I thought your title was a little tongue twister. Had you kept it a little simpler, it would have been very good. For me, the project was very bright. Your basic elements of speech was quite there, and your audience awareness was just right. You enlightened us with your speech, Toastmaster Aditya. All the best to you. Thank you.
What was really good with the evaluation, you have 3 good points, the 3 important points you want to convey. If you start conveying too many points, everybody will lose the plot. And I also want to just stick to maybe one area of improvement. It could be many, but stick to just one area of improvement. That would do the job. Let's go to the second speech, and that evaluator was Rajdeep.
It is said, you can speak well if your tongue can deliver the message of your heart. And Rashi, today, your tongue went beyond delivering the message. It imprinted the message in our hearts. This speech has 2 guidelines. Let us look at each of them. Firstly, the speech has to be well written and clearly focused. And was your speech that? Absolutely. Why do I say that? So firstly, you had single-minded focus in the speech on acid attack victims and what they go through. Particularly in your story of Sonali, you focused on 3 aspects: what a victim feels on their skin, how they have a minimal temperature tolerance levels. Then what are the majority of the cases, where do they spring from? You gave stats on that. And then, more importantly, spoke about what's the antidote to this crime, right? And how education can educating the people at large would turn out to be that antidote. So full marks on that. Is there anything I would have added? Maybe just in my opinion, you could have also focused a few lines on how a victim, in this case Sonali, right? How do they get the courage to go on with the life, right? Where do they find that, depths of courage inside them? Okay, moving on. Second guideline was about delivering of the speech. Just wow. You first started with a quote on, utilize the eyes of the beholder. Very good. You got the attention of us. You ended with the message as well. Good again. But where you really excelled was the passion, the emotion you brought to bear in the speech. Just one example where you talked about the acid cutting through the skin, right? We could almost feel that. We could live that moment. Right? So truly you spoke from the heart, and that's where the speech stood out for me. Again, anything to add to this thing? One thing, slow down your speaking rate. I know given the topic, your passion, your heart was, brimming with, more to say, but maybe, even if you don't deliver all of it, still it will get through. Just slow it down, and that leaves an even greater imprint. But overall, a very hard-hitting speech, and really it has imprinted it in our hearts. Back to you.
Today, what we are witnessing is both our evaluators are sticking to their time. And for a powerful speech, you have to really listen. And I thought Sudipto did that really well. So let's put our hands together and give the Now I want to talk about the Toastmaster of the day, the wonderful Shelma. She was well groomed, and that that she is the Toastmaster. Of course, she's always been the Toastmaster. I have a red card. I don't have time. Okay. Well, I think I'll need 8 into 2. Okay, fine. Well, I'm trying to hurry up then. The Toastmaster of the day, I thought, everybody is nervous, but I knew she was nervous because the mic was here and she was here. Today, in the age of social media and recorded meetings, I think you should pay attention to that. There's a live recording happening. Your mic is somewhere here and you're speaking, so I knew you were nervous. And then, again, sorry to tell you, I know maybe it's your first time as the Toastmaster of the day. Such a long story. I thought I was at a wedding reception where they're talking about love. And everything to do with that. So, I would have stuck to just what is happening today, the meeting, little about the topic, about the theme of the day, okay, and continue. Also, now that when we have an icebreaker, we need to inform the audience that we need to stand up and give a standing ovation, or at least acknowledge the standing ovation was because of this. Lovely introductions. I thought some were too long, especially the introduction of the first evaluator. Try and keep it short, but lovely introductions for the speakers. So, what do we give our Toastmaster today? And the induction ceremony. Today, I'm always in awe of what Surekha does. But today I was a bit disappointed because she was hogging the limelight. So many words that, some almost felt it was not from the heart. Sorry, this is what I was thinking. And you made so much, you were talking to the members over here, what are we here? You're looking at them and talking to them, then why do you even want us here? So talk to the audiences for all and for them. And I would have loved to keep it a little more crisp. Keep the session crisp. And I was reminded of when I went for a meeting at Gulf Fair, and there was a person playing the music at the West End Hotel, and suddenly the speaker, he said, "Will you please shut up, put off your music?" I actually want to say, what the hell is this happening? You're trying to talk here and you have music going on. Why is this? Cut off that music. I know you're trying to do something new, but then I thought it was not gelling well today. Maybe if, when somebody is walking up, you have some kind of music, but not music that will distract. I know if you're, sitting down reading is probably a good time to have music, but not, I felt it was not a good idea to have music today. And can I call upon the tag team to now come and give their reports quickly, one by one, because I've already passed my time. Starting with the timer. Time starts now. So
I like how you succeeded by 4 minutes. The time starts now. The meeting started on time, so kudos to the Sergeant at Arms. The Sergeant at Arms exceeded by 20 seconds. The President exceeded by 2 minutes. The allotted time for a President is 8 minutes for the members to know. The Toastmaster of the day is allotted 9 minutes throughout the meeting. So far, she's exceeded by 5 minutes. She's used a total of 13 minutes. All the speakers were in time. The evaluators were also in time. The education session was also in time. The break also happened in time. The general evaluator so far has exceeded by 4.5 minutes. They are allotted 8 minutes and we are counting 13 minutes for now.
Sometimes you give the stick to somebody to get a briefing. I was the one who brought me to be the timer. Let's have our counter.
So here is my grammarian report. There were a lot of good usages of words. I will probably mention a few. The first one would be bolster their confidence, uplift and transform, magnanimous, wrongly ousted. The rest are in the report, keeping time in account. And I'm very glad to say that everyone was so well prepared that there were no bad usages of words or sentences. And I forgot to mention the word of the day was only being used by the general evaluator, nobody else. And sorry, I'm so sorry. Only by the
Today we have a fantastic meeting. I thought someone will sing the song, but nobody has sung the song. I think I have used more hours use and repetitive words. All the speakers on, they are perfect. Let me evaluate this perfect, except 1 hour from the evaluators and from the general evaluator 1 hour. For you, thank you very much.
Well, I must apologize for having taken extra time. My only defense is that I was not aware of the time given me, allotted to me. But having said that, I want to say that the educational session was just outstanding, and I think we need to give Rajdeep a standing ovation for that. Back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Melvin, for your detailed evaluation session and touching upon all the areas of today's session. So, TM Modi signs off from here now. Thank you all for attending the session and being a wonderful audience.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sharma. And before we move on to the awards, I'd like to call upon Priyanka. She has a few announcements with regard to the division events. Over to you.
Hello everyone, I'm here to inform you all that at division level, we have 2 events that are coming across. One is on November 6th, and the event which is on November 6th session is on gender sensitivity. As Rashi also gave in his speech, there is a lack of awareness on gender sensitivity. So since this is brought in notice to the division director and to the division level, they have come up with this session, which is going to be taken by Mayor Nosh Daruwala. The further details regarding this event will be shared shortly to all of you. And the next event that will be organized is on November 20th. As already shared in the group, it is the contest, Tall Tales and Humorous Contest. I'm looking forward for active participation from our club for both the events. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. The voting link has been shared on the group. Request all of you to vote, please. Vision. Done. I will announce the first award, which is already, the only award I have is for the Best Speaker Award. This goes to Toastmaster Rashi. The Best Evaluator Award goes to Toastmaster Nagesh Ramurthy. The Best Auxiliary Role Taker Award goes to Toastmaster Puneet Surana. The Best Role Taker Award goes to Toastmaster Shelma. done with the awards, and thank each of you for this Friday evening, for giving me your time, and I really hope that it was well worth it with Dr. Rajdeep's education session and both the speeches. Wishing you a great weekend, and see you next week, same time at 6:30 next week, next Friday. Yeah, thank you so much. Close meeting number 1348.